Hello, friends from across the nation and around the world. I'm Martin, and you are listening to Dad's Bedtime Stories. Tonight, we're going to be headed back into the Dragon Knight series. I've taken a suggestion off of YouTube for this one. The suggestion came from Autumn, and I believe it's about her brother Bennett, but I could be wrong that it's her brother. Anyways, basically, she suggested that there's an Earth Dragon and a kid named Bennett that has to battle him. So, I think it's time for our Earth Dragon story. Now, this one's going to be a little different from some of the others. Instead of following the main character, we're going to actually follow Bennett around in this one and see how he meets his Earth Dragon. And yeah, that's basically it. If you have a suggestion for the podcast, particularly the Dragon Knights or the Magic Costume Tree, which I want to do a bunch of for October, leave me a message on SpeakPipe. I'm still looking for names for the fire and wind or air dragons. So that might be a good thing to suggest. I did get a couple suggestions for Earth and Fire, but I haven't decided on a name yet or the characters. Now, get as comfy as you can in that bed, close your eyes, and imagine yourself doing what Bennett in the story does. Now, Bennett knew the forest really well. In fact, he'd lived in the forest for a long time now. His parents were sort of, rebels against the Dragon King. They did their best to push back against his rule, and as a result, they kinda had to hide. And hide they did. For as long as Bennett could remember, his family lived in the forest. He could read the forest like the back of his hand. He knew which plants to eat, which animals to hunt, how to create a fire from scratch, and how to build a shelter out of just about anything. And it was certainly a good thing that he had all of these skills, because not too long ago, the Dragon King's army caught up with Bennett's parents. It was an elite soldier from the army, one of the Elementes, a knight atop a powerful elemental dragon that hunted them down. Now, luckily for Bennett, he was able to hide in the cave that his parents had designated him to hide in if something like that ever happened. But, unlucky for Bennett, it left him alone in the forest. He spent his days just sort of living for a living, finding firewood, getting edible plants to eat, and improving his home, which was a cave in the side of a mountain. One day, when Bennett was out looking for some flat rocks to improve his pathway inside his cave, he was kind of tired of walking around on dirt all of the time. He uncovered an opening that led to a series of stone steps. It looked pretty dark, so Bennett went and found a nice pine branch covered in pine sap. He used a piece of flint and his steel knife to strike a spark onto the branch and light it ablaze. With the branch in hand, Bennett headed down the long stone steps, which led to a long stone corridor, one that looked like it had definitely been crafted by someone. It was too perfect to be natural after all. He made his way down the long stone tunnel until he came across a larger room with something sitting in the center. It glowed a little bit. Bennett moved closer and took a look at the object. It was large kind of oval-shaped, or you might even say egg-shaped, and it was sort of a gray and brown color. Bennett reached out and touched the thing. To his surprise, as soon as he made contact, it cracked open. The crack grew and grew until shards of egg and stone blasted in every different direction, leaving behind a little dragonling. A little gray and brown dragonling. The dragonling said. It walked over to a stone in the corner. It opened its tiny little mouth and, well, it ate the stone. Strangely, the dragon started to glow a little bit, and Bennett could swear it got a bit bigger. "Are you ready?" the dragon said. "Ready? Ready for what? And wait, you can talk?" "Of course I can talk. I'm a dragon." The little dragonling jumped up in the air, stomped on the ground, and a stone shot straight up. The dragon spun around, struck the stone with its tail, and launched it straight at Bennett. Bennett quickly jumped out of the way as the stone smashed against the wall. The dragon did the same move again, but this time, instead of flinging the stone, he just jumped up and ate it, burping and glowing and growing a little bit more. The dragon took in a deep breath and began shooting rocks out of its mouth, straight towards Bennett. Bennett didn't know what to think. He'd never met a dragon before, and suddenly this one was shooting rocks at him. He dodged left, he dodged right, and then he just started to run, back down the corridor, up the stairs, and out into the woods. The dragon followed, all the way shooting rocks after the kid. Bennett ran and attempted to hide behind a tree. "You can't hide, I see you," the dragon said, and again he stomped on the ground, shooting a gigantic boulder up into the air. Then, using his mind or something, he just launched the boulder straight towards the tree that Bennett was hiding behind. Bennett ran deeper into the forest as the boulder crushed the tree, knocking it over on its side. "You can do better than that, can't you?" Bennett continued to run through the forest, and the dragon continued to run and fly after him, all the while shooting rocks out of its mouth and rocks out of the ground. Bennett dodged the best he could. He tried to hide behind trees, but the dragon always found him. Slowly, Bennett made his way back towards his cave, and the dragon continued to follow. Bennett was exhausted. He was out of breath, he was scared, and he didn't know what else to do. "Is that all you got?" the dragon asked. And something about that angered Bennett. Was that all he got? He was tired of this game. He was tired of running. The dragon stomped on the ground one more time, shooting a boulder into the air. But this time, Bennett decided that he wasn't gonna run. Instead, he was gonna do something crazy. He was going to attack the dragon back. It might not work, but hopefully it would put an end to things. As the dragon launched the boulder towards him, Bennett simply crossed his arms in front of him and faced the boulder dead on, a move that was wildly dumb in most ways. But to his surprise, as the boulder hit his arms, he didn't feel it at all. In fact, the boulder cracked into pieces and fell on either side of him. As Bennett looked at his arms, well, something was different. They were covered in armor? Armor that looked like it was made out of, well, rock and steel. He looked down at the rest of his body and, sure enough, he was entirely covered in armor. Was he dreaming? Was he hallucinating? Had the rock actually hit him in the head and knocked him out? Either way, he now seemed to have a sword at his side. So, he reached down and pulled it out. It was made of the most beautiful steel that he'd ever seen. He faced the dragon with a newfound confidence. As the dragon launched another ball of stone towards him, Bennett jumped to the side. And boy, did he jump. He jumped much further than he ever thought he could. Strange. It was as if the new armor was also giving him super strength and super speed. He felt more powerful than he ever had before. This time, Bennett ran straight at the dragon. The dragon launched a whole bunch of boulders, but Bennett just plowed right through them. They hit his armor and broke apart as Bennett lifted his sword up in the air and swung it down towards the little dragonling. The dragonling easily jumped out of the way, leaving Bennett to slice straight through a tree. A large tree that then crashed down towards the ground. "That's getting better," the dragon said. "What else do you have there?" The dragon, who kept taking bites of rock whenever he got the chance, was getting larger and larger. He flew up in the air above Bennett and summoned a whole bunch of chunks of rock. The rocks began to spin around the dragon in a whole bunch of different circles. Then, one by one, the dragon began to launch the boulders towards Bennett. He dodged left, he dodged right, but one of them was coming straight for him. He lifted his arm up to block, and to his surprise, a shield appeared between him and the rock. When he put his arm down, the shield disappeared. Bennett realized that whenever he flexed his left hand, the shield would just sort of shoot out of his arm. Cool. And something new. Bennett kept the shield up in his left hand while he held the sword in his right. As the dragon continued to unleash boulders towards him, he smashed some of them with the shield, sliced others with the sword, and attempted to find a way to get this dragon. The problem was the dragon was floating in the air, and to the best of Bennett's knowledge, he could not yet fly. Although with all the other strange things that had happened today, it wasn't really outside the realm of possibilities. He had to find a way to get the dragon from a distance. The only thing he could think was, well, to throw something at him. He saw one of the rocks on the ground. He shifted his sword into his left hand, jumped up in the air, and rolled over towards the rock. He grabbed it with his right hand, lifted it up in the air, much easier than it should have been to hold up a rock of this size, and threw it towards the dragon. The dragon simply dodged out of the way and, well, it caught the rock in its, field of influence. The rock began to spin around the dragon instead.
Good try, but why are you throwing it when you could simply command it?
Command it? Bennett thought. Oh, what does he mean by command it? The rocks continued to fly, and Bennett continued to block them with his shield. But the whole thought of commanding the rocks, well, it sort of felt right. And, come to think of it, Bennett felt like he could sort of sense the rocks. Again, it could have been his delusional imagination or a concussion he received before falling into this crazy dream, but he was pretty sure he was right. All of the rocks around him, the ground below him, well, it sort of felt connected to him. He jumped and dodged out of the way as the dragon threw another rock towards him. And Bennett decided, why not try? He reached his hand out towards a nearby rock, and strangely, he felt like he connected to it right away. The rock floated up in the air, and Bennett, sort of asked it to shoot at the dragon. And to his surprise, it did. It shot much faster than he could possibly throw a rock. Now, the dragon again just dodged, caught the rock, and started spinning it around itself, but this was something. Bennett decided that the sword wasn't really going to help him right now. He tucked it back in his sheath, but kept the shield up between him and the dragon. He reached his hand out and focused on all of the rocks around him. If the dragon could do it, why couldn't he? Come to think of it, why could he? He'd never been able to control rocks before. He quickly shook off that thought. Whether this was a dream or not, he clearly could control rocks now. He focused on all of the rocks around him, summoned them up in the air, and, he took a lesson from the dragon. He began spinning the rocks around his body too. He collected more and more chunks of rock until there were several circles of rock spinning around him at various different lengths from his body. Then he stared at the dragon and began to unleash them. One by one he fired rocks towards the dragon, almost as if rapid firing them. The dragon dodged left, then dodged right, and then swung all of his rocks together. The rocks connected with the ones Bennett was throwing, and suddenly they exploded into a huge cloud of dust, one that blocked out Bennett's vision of the dragon. He looked in every direction, but he couldn't see anything, until suddenly he felt something fling against his body. He moved backwards, tripped over a log, and fell flat onto his back. He opened his eyes, and through the mist of rock dust, he saw the dragon standing on his chest and staring down at him.
I believe you are my rider,
the dragon said. Are you gonna hurt me? Bennett asked.
I would never hurt you, but I did have to test you. I could never be linked to a rider who didn't have guts. And you, my friend, clearly have them. Guts aplenty.
The dragon stepped away and sort of sat down. The dust in the air almost magically settled, and Bennett could see again. He sat up and stared at the dragon, who was now 3 or 4 times the size it was when it exited the egg in the first place. What do you mean I'm your rider?" Bennett asked.
"Well, all dragons are connected to a human, and you are my human. I am what most call an Earth Dragon. I have a connection to the dirt, a connection to the rocks, a connection to the metal. And you have a connection to me, giving you those powers as well."
"Is that how this armor appeared?" Bennett asked.
"Yes, the armor is part of being a dragon knight. And now I must train you, and I must grow stronger myself. We have work to do, and people to meet."
"Okay. Well, do you have a name?" Bennett asked.
"Yes, my name is Granite,"
the Earth Dragon replied with pride. And from there, Bennett and the Earth Dragon began to live together. It was kind of nice for Bennett to have company. Each day, they'd spend some time learning how to control the Earth.
"The Earth is a stubborn element,"
Granite explained.
"To move it, to command it, you must be even more stubborn. A trait you seem to have in abundance."
Granite taught Bennett how to command rocks, how to move them with his mind, summon them from the earth, and even how to reform them at will. The result was Bennett being able to create instant rock sculptures. Just for fun, he decorated his cave with a couple of them. He learned how to put rocks back together as well, how to take little tiny pieces of dirt and shove them together so hard that they formed into a boulder. And he learned how to connect to the sand and dirt to move it around in a cloud.
"Many underestimate the sand," Granite explained. "They believe because it is small that it cannot do harm. But, in truth, it is one of the most powerful things an Earth Dragon can use. A single particle does nothing, but when you get millions of them together, spinning around and striking someone at once, the force is unimaginable. Plus, well, it can blind your opponent at the same time."
Their training went on like that, Bennett working on mastering his control over the Earth. And as he got more control, he expanded his home, his cave. It went from a tiny little cave to a gigantic underground structure, one big enough for a dragon as well. It was decorated with stone statues, and, well, it had bedrooms aplenty. Bennett was even able to design a secret rock door, one that sort of rolled out of the way, one that only someone with command over the rock and the earth could ever move. During that time, Granite grew. He ate the rock, he ate the dirt, and he used it to increase his power. Before very long at all, he'd become a gigantic dragon. It was a nice life that the two of them had, until one day, when Bennett felt a pull to head out of his cave and, well, see what was going on outside. A pull that grabbed him at the very core and insisted that he move. But that, my friends, is a story for next time. For now, it's time to anchor with your breath. With each breath, allow your muscles to relax a little bit more, sinking down into the bed. Start with your legs, then your arms. Let go of the tension in your shoulders, your neck, and even your face. And once it feels like you've fully sunken into the bed, you can allow your mind to wander off to thoughts of new dreams and new adventures to come. Good night, everyone.